In Adarashia, a world of swords and magic, a young man decides to make a living through streaming. Something completely unheard of there. His broadcasts quickly earn him fame as he comforts people in their darkest times and offers hope when no one else can. Everyone loves the mysterious streamer, but his identity remains hidden, making the world even more desperate to discover who he truly is. In the Rogia Kingdom, at Sistal Royal Academy, the end-of-day bell rings and students burst out of classrooms like they've just been freed from prison sentences. Teachers remind them to get home safely, waving goodbye as the herd scatters. One student doesn't head home, he heads straight to his dorm. The guy announces to himself that he's finally back, then immediately declares it's stream time. He ties a bandana around his head like he's powering up for battle, sits at his desk, and boots up his computer. The moment the stream goes live, his voice hits with confidence and over-the-top motivation. He greets his followers and asks about their day. Chat explodes with messages, flooding the screen. He scrolls through, scanning reactions, and announces it's time for a chat/advice segment. The first letter is from a guy named Akuda, a B-rank adventurer. Akuda explains that a new member recently joined his party, but the guy was so bad that all he could do was supportive magic, scouting enemy positions and repairing weapons. So, in his infinite wisdom, Akuda kicked him out. Akuda even brags about how satisfying it was to see the poor guy cry. The streamer freezes, then roasts him so hard it leaves burn marks. He calls him an idiot outright, pointing out that knowing monster positions helps avoid ambushes, and repairing weapons mid-adventure literally saves time and lives. Support magic is clutch, but Akuda's acting like it's useless. On top of that, his tone screams superiority complex. The chat turns against Akuda instantly, spamming that he's a horrible leader and nobody agrees with him. The streamer leans in and keeps tearing him apart, telling him he doesn't care if Akuda's a god or a king. If he ends up in danger one day, it'll be because he pushed away the only person who could save him. He declares that if Akuda can't even judge party roles correctly, he should resign as leader right now. He goes so far as to say Akuda should be on his knees begging that support mage to come back. The chat erupts in praise, showering the streamer with love. Taking a sip of water, the streamer wonders if he got through to Akuda or not, still in disbelief that someone like that listens to his stream at all. Then he pulls up the next letter. This one's from a pampered upper-class son who's already engaged but has fallen in love with a transfer student. He admits he's thinking about choosing her instead of his fiancée. The streamer doesn't hold back, saying he hopes the guy gets dumped and the girl ends up marrying someone else. He blasts him for not even considering his family and tells him it's not a choice to take lightly. His advice: gain his family's trust first. Stop making shallow choices based on looks. The chat laughs at him, calling him jealous. He tries to brush it off, but then starts imagining the transfer girl holding his hand and mutters that he wants a girlfriend too. Chat spams harder, clowning him for being a lonely streamer. Finally, he cuts the stream, announcing he'll leave it at that for the day. The camera turns off. He leans back, breathes out, and asks himself if this is what streamers in other lives felt like. Because right now, his name isn't just Streamer, it's Kanata, a transfer student in this world. The next morning, class begins, and the teacher lectures about magic, stressing that it's all about imagination. Kanata sits there, reflecting. He's lived in this world ever since he was born here, and while discovering magic used to excite him, it no longer feels special. Still, deep down, he knows he has unlimited power, and that kind of strength inevitably affects his everyday life. That's why he took the magic ranking exam. He crushed it, scoring a rank 5, and secured admission into the Royal Academy, a place reserved for the richest nobles and the most talented commoners. Lost in thought, he suddenly gets interrupted by two nobles approaching him. They tell him straight up he doesn't belong here, that he isn't part of their noble family. Around them, other commoner students whisper their own frustrations. No matter how hard they work, the nobles will never accept them. Social status is unshakable. Kanata swallows his anger and decides to play polite. He questions how the nobles even know about this fact they're throwing at him, suggesting they should probably check with the teacher instead. That makes them furious. They grab his collar, demanding he repeat what he just said. Before things can escalate further, the teacher cuts in, scolding them. If they've got time to fight, they've got time to perform. At that moment, Maria Atarashisu enters. The teacher's tone softens immediately, telling her that since she's busy helping around the house, she doesn't need to worry. Nobody's blaming her. Maria thanks him politely. The teacher then turns back to the class, asking the students if anyone's willing to perform today. An S-rank student steps forward, volunteering. He steps up, aims his magic, and asks if all he needs to do is hit the target. The teacher confirms, encouraging him to go all out since the area is covered with fireproof seals. The student steps up and launches his spell straight into the target, dead center. The teacher nods, satisfied, but then turns his eyes toward Kanata. Today is his turn. Kanata strolls forward with that fine, let's get this over with energy, points a single finger, and fires. The blast smashes through the target and shatters everything around it. Bro didn't just hit the bullseye, he destroyed the entire dartboard. The teacher calls it an impressive display, but now the rest of the students look like their motivation just evaporated. After watching Kanata's nuke finger, nobody feels like flexing their little party tricks. The nobles whisper among themselves, tweaking out at the idea that a common guy could pull this off. They immediately start coping, claiming he must be cheating. Maria isn't having it. She steps in, glaring, and reminds them this has nothing to do with status. She points out that there's something different about him, and while training on a nearby tree, she tells them they should quit letting their pride drag them down. Basically, she ratioed them in real time, and they actually back down. Afterward, she walks up to Kanata, says she's impressed, and he thanks her. Inside, he realizes this is Lady Maria, youngest of the three princesses. Great, just what he needed. Royalty staring at him like he's on stage. Maria keeps talking, saying he must be wondering about the constant status drama. She starts to say more, but then bolts mid-sentence, insisting she didn't say anything. Classic spill your feelings then sprint away behavior. She does manage to throw one last line his way, telling him not to irritate people even when he's angry. Kanata thinks that's rich, considering they were the ones who picked the fight. Once it's over, he retreats to his dorm, fires up his scuffed PC, and starts streaming again. He asks his followers if they've had any trouble at school or work, while thinking back to how this setup used to just be a busted terminal he rebuilt. Thanks to his ridiculous power, he even rigged this world's first working streaming site. Anyone else would burn out their magic energy in minutes, but for him, it's like running Netflix on unlimited free trial mode. On stream, Kanata tells everyone something bad happened today. Nobles and commoners are butting heads again, and he complains that these fights about status never seem to end. He says it'd be nice if everyone could just get along. His followers instantly split into camps, some saying status will never disappear, and others insisting it's what keeps order. Kanata sighs, realizing the debate is as divided as ever, when suddenly an anonymous colored message pops up. He knows that means a donation. The sender calls themselves a princess, thanking him and asking him to accept it kindly. He opens the letter, and boom, 10 gold coins drop into his account. That's basically like getting a 100k dono live on stream. Kanata thanks the so-called princess, noting she also sent money yesterday. Suspicion kicks in, so he asks if she's stealing cash from her parents. She replies it's all her own money, no need to worry. Then she casually shoots her shot, saying she wouldn't mind being his lover. Kanata sits there thinking this has to be a catfish. No way some random princess is simping that hard. Still, he laughs it off, thanks her, and says if love ever finds him, why not? Behind the screen, it's revealed to be Maria herself, clutching her pillow, spiraling, and confessing to herself how much she's falling for him. She gushes about his personality, his influence, and the way his voice sticks in her mind like a permanent mark. She doesn't just want to throw money at him, she wants to give herself entirely. Meanwhile, Kanata remains totally clueless, unaware that his streams are pulling in fans powerful enough to cause real chaos down the line. Kanata keeps his unlimited magic under wraps, living his double life as the only streamer in this fantasy world. On campus, nobles still treat him like dirt, yet the moment he logs in, his following keeps blowing up. Maria slips him another fat donation of 10 coins, basically confirming she's his #1 simp, and the effect is obvious. The stream is swelling with new listeners, all hooked on his voice like it's contraband. Walking home from class, Kanata keeps his head low, muttering that he'll just stick to fewer streets until he gets back. Meanwhile, other students gossip about how impressive it is that a so-called commoner scored such high marks. To him, it's just noise. But ever since that explosive magic display in class, he's been living in the aftermath. Every hallway whispers his name now, and it's already becoming a headache. He thinks about cooling off by streaming again when his evening gets interrupted by real-life drama. A guy is confessing to a girl, swearing he loves her from the bottom of his heart. She, however, apologizes and rejects him. Her heart already belongs to someone else. Kanata notices who it is and nearly chokes. Of course, it's Maria, the princess herself, and some poor schmuck who got friend-zoned harder than a childhood best friend in a rom-com. The guy asks if she's saving herself for her fiancé, but Maria calmly tells him he's got it wrong. She's allowed to choose her own love, and she's already found someone. The boy sulks off with all the grace of a V-card-keeping loser, praying she's happy while she tosses him a pity-pretty boy on his way out. Kanata watches, sighing, and admits Maria is absolutely his type. Elegant, confident, the whole package, but then wonders what kind of miracle her future partner must pull off to land her. That thought lingers until Maria suddenly addresses him directly, calling out his shadow and accusing him of eavesdropping. He stammers an apology, explaining that this road is literally his way home, but she just laughs and says she's joking. Kanata exhales in relief, thanks her, and bolts off, but Maria lingers on his voice, whispering that the accent sounds familiar, before brushing it off as imagination. Back at his dorm, Kanata boots up his stream and apologizes to his followers for making them wait. On the other side of the screen, Maria tunes in immediately, claiming she's been waiting for him, practically swooning at the sound of his voice. She donates like crazy, showering him with gold to the point that Kanata nearly falls out of his chair. While he's grateful, he begs viewers to take care of themselves first, otherwise he'll start feeling guilty for bleeding them dry. Maria doesn't care, proudly telling herself that since she's funding him, she's basically the best girl alive. Kanata moves on to his letter segment. Today's first letter, coincidentally from Maria, is about demons. She writes that demons are universally viewed as a race that shouldn't exist, and Kanata immediately groans. He says the more people mess with entire races, the more suffering they create. He admits he hasn't met a demon yet, but argues that, like humans, there must be some who just want to live peacefully without being crushed under discrimination. He points out that even among humans, plenty are terrible, but that doesn't mean you condemn the entire species. As Kanata talks, Maria remembers her own experiences. Once, she had visited a jail with her butler, Sebastian. Prisoners sneered at her, saying a pampered girl like her couldn't possibly understand their pain. Sebastian explained that nobles still secretly buy and sell people as workers, despite the laws. Maria had been stunned, asking if slavery wasn't supposed to be a thing of the past. Sebastian admitted reform was almost impossible with nobles and ministers protecting it, but then suggested she seek advice from a certain streamer who had been guiding lost souls lately. Curious, Maria sent her first anonymous letter. Hearing Kanata now, she's reassured. He flatly calls slavery wrong, saying that stripping people of the right to live freely is evil, period. He challenges her directly. If she's really a princess, then she should use her position to push reforms. It'll be hard, it'll be messy, but lives will be saved. He declares that he'll be watching, hoping she proves she's genuine. Maria closes her eyes, determined. She orders Sebastian to ready the carriage, heading to her father immediately. Thanks to her and Kanata's indirect push, the kingdom cracks down. The slave market is erased, enforcement tightened, and people no longer sold like items in a shop. From then on, Maria swears she'll believe in the one who showed her the right path. She decides she'll be his ally forever. Meanwhile, Kanata wraps up his stream with one last message, saying discrimination only destroys peace. If people want stability, someone has to stand between commoners and nobles as a mediator. He has no idea Maria's listening, no idea she's already moving kingdoms because of his words. To him, it was just another night on stream. To her, it was gospel. The chat immediately floods with wild energy the moment the stream kicks off. Everyone's spamming that they want to be with the streamer, like it is a competition to see who can simp the loudest. Maria squints at the screen, wondering what kind of nonsense they are on about, before declaring the whole thing trash like she is too good for this circus. Then the princess, never one to be outdone, slides in with a dramatic letter claiming that she is, without question, the most suitable partner for the streamer. To make it worse, she starts flexing with a barrage of donations, basically paying rent in his chat room. The streamer, clearly impressed but trying to keep order, tells her to chill out. He admits that while the move was flashy, he is not a fan of people who start fights in front of everyone. That little jab sends Maria spiraling. She immediately bursts into tears, convinced he absolutely despises her. The streamer softens up and tells her he will forgive her if she can understand the real meaning behind his words. Hearing that lights a spark of hope in her chest, and she quickly promises that even though she is still immature, she will give her best from now on. Before the chat can even process the drama, the stranger steers the conversation in a wild direction by bringing up demons. He claims it is important to get along with them too, and then casually wonders what a demon king even looks like. He tosses the question back to the viewers, asking if anyone has seen one or if they would want to. The entire chat freezes, then unanimously decides this is not a road worth going down, begging him not to bring it up. The streamer nods, but still muses aloud that it would be amazing to see a world where humans and demons could actually live peacefully together. Right as he is speaking, another letter pops up. He opens it on stream, and this one feels different. The writer says they know he is an interesting streamer, and because of that, they will try to think more positively moving forward. Meanwhile, Kanata sits there completely unaware that he has just brushed against a circle that shapes his very world. Before Kanata ever drops his hot takes, the camera cuts to a girl who is basically built different. A squad of enemies surrounds her, hoping for glory, but she yawns, tells them they're boring, and waves them off like mid-boss trash mobs. Beating them would take effort. And she isn't clocking overtime today. She calls them fools and flexes her powers anyway, forcing them to admit she is way past their pay grade. They try to save face, saying no human can go beyond SSS rank. But this isn't some bugged status screen, they're just salty that she is a walking glitch in the system, breaking the game balance like a cheat code no patch can fix. This is Lady Shrauza, and everywhere she walks, people stare like she has main character aura dripping off her. While they admire her, she is busy questioning centuries of common sense, wondering why demons and humans have to beef like it's a rivalry mixtape on repeat. Just then, some monster girls bring her loot, dropped by adventurers, a strange object called a phone. She holds it up like an alien artifact, asking what a streamer even is. The others explain humans use it to listen to a guy who is popular, though their area has no signal. Shrauza, unimpressed but curious, tells them to fix that problem. Minutes later, they roll in with a whole desktop setup, monitor glowing like they just built her a command center. She shrugs, saying it can at least pass the time, not knowing this side quest is about to change her whole storyline. Days later, she tunes into the stream just as Kanata, in his human dorm, casually announces he had egg toast for breakfast. Shrauza impulsively types in that she had meat, then freezes, wondering why she even says that. She had only wanted to waste some time, but soon she is logging in daily. This faceless human with more magic output than she has ever seen. He is addicting. She realizes her own voice can shake mountains, yet here is a guy whose words alone rattle nations. When Kanata muses about humans fighting pointlessly, saying their numbers only shrink while their egos grow, Shrauza fumbles her cup, stunned at how much his take lines up with hers. When he casually says peace talks would be better than endless battles, then immediately pivots to wondering about dinner, she laughs out loud. This fool is reckless, honest, and now, whether he knows it or not, her comrade. On another day, Kanata opens the stream and almost chokes when a massive donation comes through. He begs the sender to take care of themselves, but on the other end, Shrauza smirks, deciding she will happily become his personal ATM. For her, supporting him feels better than conquering nations. Yet her vibe gets torched when Maria, the anonymous princess, jumps into chat again, dropping more money. Shrauza fumes, calling her an annoying girl, pissed that she has to compete with some spoiled human royal simping through donations. As if to test fate, Kanata starts speculating about demons. He says humans should get along with them and even jokes about wondering what the demon lord looks like. Shrauza freezes. Does this human want to see her? That night, she pens a letter calling him interesting and promising to try positive thinking too. He reads it on stream and chuckles, wondering who is faking it as the demon lord. Shrauza, however, isn't joking. In her realm, the demon queen prepares herself, cheeks warm, mind racing with one thought: she wants him. She isn't just some regional boss, she is the demon lord, ruler of countless beings. Yet here she is, wondering how to hug a faceless human streamer. Bro bags a literal demon baddie without showing his face card. What a G. When her servant asks if the bathwater is too hot, she brushes it off, too distracted by fantasies of being held. For the first time in centuries, she wants someone, not as a subject, not as a subordinate, but as a partner. And she doesn't care that he lives in the human realm. If it is Kanata, she will give him everything. Meanwhile, back in the human world, Kanata wakes to noise outside and checks the headlines. The newspaper reports something wild. The demons have just submitted a non-aggression pact. Castle towns erupt in gossip, asking if he really made the demon lord back down. Suddenly, everyone wonders just how influential he is, whispering that every kingdom is marking him as a person of interest. But Kanata? He stands on his balcony, staring into the sky, clueless about the chaos he has sparked, only thinking about whether a festival is coming up. Kanata fixes his computer and heads outside because he is starving. Walking down the street, he thinks spending his day off like this isn't so bad, and he stops at a stall to grab a burger. He enjoys the taste, but the peaceful vibe gets wrecked by some old man flipping out at a lady for spilling sauce. The guy rants like a Karen past his expiration date, demanding she make it up to him somehow. The lady apologizes, while other girls point out that he's the one who bumped into her. Kanata notices there are no guards around and sighs, thinking this world probably expects him to handle it. Stuff like this is a pain, but letting it slide would be worse. He steps in, asking the man why he is acting like she ran him over with a horse cart when all she did was bump into him. He even jokes if she sprinted so fast it broke his bones. The man grabs the girl's wrist and snaps at Kanata, but Kanata is already annoyed. He tells him to let her go, then uses a bit of power to shove him off. The old man panics, whining about being late for work, and runs like his arms turned into breadsticks. Kanata shakes his head, muttering he could have just apologized, then turns to the girl and asks what's wrong with her. The girl lowers her hood, saying his voice sounded familiar. Kanata wonders if she is one of his listeners. For a second, he imagines bagging a cute fan, but then assumes it's just a misunderstanding. He advises her to head home before something like this happens again, but she insists she could have handled it and maybe injured the guy. Kanata asks if she is secretly one of those strong types, but she doesn't even get the reference. She thanks him sincerely, calls him kind, and asks his name. He brushes it off, saying helping a pretty girl lifts his mood anyway. She replies that plenty of people are prettier than her. Kanata thinks other worlds really are scary. She notices his hand is injured and asks about it. He explains he got the cut while cleaning and it'll heal by tomorrow. She tells him to be careful, and he admits she is nicer than anyone at the academy. He taps her on the head, but it comes off awkward, more like a romance tutorial NPC fail than a sweet gesture. He even asks if that counts as affection, but she just smiles. When he asks her age, she says she turned 17 this year. Kanata realizes they are the same age and apologizes, but she laughs it off, saying she is used to being mistaken since her height never changes. She shows him a little affection, making him even more awkward. And when he tries to leave, she stops him just to show off again. Kanata walks away unimpressed, thinking her personality isn't his type at all. She waves him goodbye, saying they should meet again when the chance comes. He tells her to be mindful of her surroundings, notices her cross, and wonders if she is a sister in training. But it doesn't matter much to him, and he leaves. That night, the girl returns to a church and is greeted by her sister. The sister scolds her for getting into trouble, saying too many people already know about her identity as the saintess. The saintess laments how painful it is, even if she is irreplaceable for the kingdom and often used as the key in negotiations. She insists all humans are equal and warns not to ignore the sinner, but the sin, earning praise for her mercy. She then admits there was one good thing. She met a kind young man whose voice reminded her so much of someone familiar that she couldn't stop doubting herself. Later, when she is alone, she opens up the stream. She apologizes for keeping her sister waiting, since this time of night belongs to the one she secretly writes to. In chat, people gossip about the saintess also being a listener. Meanwhile, she admires Kanata's voice, glazing over it like he just dropped a mixtape. Calm on the outside, but her thoughts are borderline obsessed. She tells herself she's ready to give everything for him, claiming his voice alone makes her fall in love. Kanata, oblivious, begins the stream by announcing he will show his hands. He raises them to the camera, bandage still wrapped around one. The saintess sees it and loses her composure, shouting in disbelief that it really is him. Kanata fires upstream and announces he can show his hands now thanks to a magic camera he just crafted that morning. He adjusts the view, sees the bandage still wrapped, and sighs. Gloves might have been smarter to keep his identity safe, but whatever, he doubts anyone can ID him by his fingers. Meanwhile, in the church, the saintess is tweaking. She saw him earlier in person, and now she's staring at his hand like it's Holy Relic DLC. Chat immediately floods with concern, asking what happened. Kanata waves it off, saying he was just dumb earlier, and warns them not to stack things too high on bookshelves. He calls this little test his hand debut, planning to use the camera for future showcases. That's when the glazing gets ridiculous. Viewers spam heart emojis, praising his literal bandaged hand like it's national treasure. Kanata groans, asking if just showing his hand really got them this hyped. If this is what happens with one bandage, then if he ever broke his arms, the kingdom would probably declare a national emergency. Hours in, the fun mood gets hijacked by a message. It isn't a love letter or goofy confession, it's a threat. The sender calls himself Mantis, leader of the Thieves' Guild. He says streams annoy him. Kanata makes his skin crawl, and he plans to hunt him down and beat him until he regrets living. Bro really decided to be the first official hater. Kanata just shakes his head and says warning people like that can get you jailed, then tosses the letter aside. He shrugs. But what Mantis doesn't realize is he basically declared war on someone who has the demon lord simping for him. That night, in Mantis's territory, his world comes crashing down. He's ranting about how it's all that streamer's fault when suddenly a shoe cracks him in the skull. A group steps forward, fanatics wielding swords calling him pathetic. One of them laughs that Mantises aren't scary at all. Another warns him to stop messing with their guy. The girl with them snickers, saying they'll pass judgment here and now. From Mantis's view, this is insane. He just got jumped by Kanata's personal BTS army, except this army can actually fight. They mock him for daring to threaten their favorite, calling him another hopeless fool. They say this is emergency judgment, and whether he gets it or not, he's finished. Mantis stares, horrified, realizing this is the price of fumbling online. Days later, students at the academy gossip while reading the paper. It says Mantis got found and beaten down, with people crediting the Royal Knights. Kanata overhears the name, vaguely remembering it from somewhere. At school, he notices classmates ignoring him more than usual, maybe because of how far he pushed things before. Then the tension spikes when the teacher enters. Everyone is told to sit down as an important guest arrives, a girl tied closely to royalty. She walks in, introduces herself as Alfana, the saintess, and Kanata nearly falls out of his chair. The big talk in the academy right now is that the saintess has officially transferred into Class S. Everyone's buzzing like it's breaking news, while Kanata quietly thinks the saying is probably spreading all over campus by now. One curious girl asks the saintess why she came here, and Alfana, calm as ever, says it's part societal observation, though she hints she has another goal in mind, smooth and mysterious. Kanata's mind drifts as he reads about saintesses trying to learn more about the world. Every few decades, one gets chosen, a person with the right mix of power, personality, and political usefulness. They basically unlock the church as their personal playground, shine in diplomacy, and of course, are tight with the royal family. In short, a saintess is a top-tier character slot, one of the most important people in existence. And apparently, Alfana is even friends with Princess Maria. Kanata chuckles to himself, thinking Maria as a transfer might have been a better fit for Class SSS. He thanks the heavens that Alfana forgave him when they bumped into each other earlier. She probably doesn't even remember his face, after all, he was just some random civilian that time. Then, a noble struts up to Alfana like he's got max riz. He introduces himself, saying his house is next in line to serve her. Alfana smiles politely, says it's nice to meet him, but when he offers to replace Princess Maria and show her around, she shuts him down instantly. She even tells him not to use her name without permission. Bro got friend-zoned by formality. He stammers out an apology, while the class bursts into laughter. Commoners are cackling, nobles are face-palming, and Kanata notes the fallout. Mess around with the saintess and you get clapped in 4K. Kanata doesn't have time to laugh for long since the next class is outdoors. As he walks, he thinks he should gather material for tonight's stream. Out on the field, Alfana steps up first. She unleashes her magic at the target, shattering it with one clean strike. Students clap and whisper that her level might even surpass Princess Maria's. Suddenly, the doubters flip, wondering why she's even in Class S when she's clearly operating at God tier. Support rolls in, and just like that, she wins them over. Watching, Kanata reflects that nobles really don't have it easy. They're always networking, always tying their moves back to their family, never able to just focus on themselves. His thought gets cut off when the teacher calls his name. Kanata steps up, and just before he starts, Alphana tells him to do his best. He freezes. Did she really just cheer him on? His heart does a flip. Now he wants to flex just because a cute girl gave him a buff. Still, he reminds himself not to overdo it like last time. He carefully controls his energy and fires. The magic slams dead center on the target, clean, precise. The teacher nods, clearly impressed. Some jealous students mutter under their breath, but Kanata ignores them and walks back. Then, out of nowhere, someone straight up calls him names. He whirls around to see Maria smirking. At first, he thinks it's a joke, but reality sets in. Nobles trashing commoners really is a thing here. Thankfully, not everyone is hating. A few students actually praise his refined control and call his magic wonderful. When the insults keep flying, Maria steps in seriously this time. She calls out the nobles, saying that ignoring someone's talent and mocking their blessing is unforgivable, no matter who they are. Alphana backs her up, telling them to take notes from Kanata instead of whining. Kanata nearly melts inside. These two elite girls are defending him on main, while he just stands there grinning like he's front row at his own fan club. The nobles mutter it's an overreaction, and one of them hisses that they only got scolded because of Kanata. Their faces twist with anger, clearly blaming him. Kanata sighs. Yep, they just leveled up their hate for him. But honestly, he's chilling. He's got his listeners, and as long as the stream's popping, he's good. That night, he's already hyped, thinking about what to talk about until morning. He apologizes to his viewers for making them wait, and is about to dive in when Alphana herself suddenly approaches. She tells him she noticed he had a prior guest, a surprise reunion at the end of a lonely meal. Kanata freezes, mind blown. This saintess isn't just watching from the sidelines anymore. Alphana shows up on the school grounds, spots Kanata, and practically sprints toward him. She beams, saying they're meeting again. Kanata's like, wait, is she really the girl from town? She confirms and tells him to stop being stiff with her, talk casually, like before. If he doesn't, she won't forgive him. Bros being threatened into first-name basis friendship. Kanata sighs and agrees, and she thanks him like he just swore loyalty for life. Inside, Kanata is sweating bullets. Being alone with the saintess is like carrying a bomb. You just know if anyone sees them together, he's getting stomped. He checks around, breathes relief that no one's nearby, but then she grabs his hand out of nowhere. She asks if it's okay. He hesitates, pointing out she got mad when a noble used her name earlier. She smiles and says with him, it's different. She wants him to call her Alphana. Bro goes along with it, and she sits on a bench, lighting up like he just proposed. Kanata stares, wondering why she's so hyped over something tiny, but admits she's cute. Too cute, maybe. Meanwhile, Alphana's brain is already throwing a wedding reception. To her, him calling her Alphana equals him saying, I do. Bro thought he was making small talk, but she's planning the registry. Next day, Kanata's outside class debating where to sit. He notices Alphana already here bright and early. Figures. Then he sees Maria standing at the door. Isn't she supposed to be in the SSS class? Maria calls Alphana over, and the two walk out. Half the students just sit there staring, muttering that the sight of both of them together is too bright. Kanata thinks their combined aura could power the city grid. Maria teases Alphana for surprising her, and Alphana apologizes politely. Students whisper that it feels like staring at two god-tier idols. Alphana says she just wanted to know what student life is like. Maria presses her, but Alphana insists that's all. Meanwhile, Kanata admires them too, but then starts doubting himself. Yesterday, Alphana gave him a genuine smile, and Maria warned him before. Were those real, or is he just delusional? Kanata sighs, jealous of how easily they shine. He wishes he could have even one friend. He tries small talk with a classmate, asking what he's having for dinner. The guy immediately tells him to get lost. Bro got hard rejected over food talk. Kanata feels the crit damage, wondering if they hate him that much. The other guy mutters that Kanata's just cocky from being good at magic. Kanata shrugs it off, muttering he'll just nap and let his listeners console him later. Bro can't get a lunch buddy, but he's got an online cult ready to die for him. Meanwhile, Alfana asks Maria if something's wrong. Maria says it's nothing. Sure, totally nothing. Far away in the Xandered Empire, inside a noble mansion, a man hands his worker, Crow, a mission. Crow accepts it without hesitation, ready to move. Crow gets his mission briefing, but before he can even warm up, he asks straight up who he has to beat. The noble giving orders tells him not to rush. Bro's eager to throw hands like it's payday, but the employer wants drama. Meanwhile, in Mithras, girls gossip in the streets. They whisper about a terrifying figure who showed up recently, Crow. They can't believe someone like him is real. Kanata overhears and perks up. The girls mention he's only about 100 kilometers away, and what if they're next? Another girl reassures them they haven't done anything to deserve it, so they're safe. Kanata silently thanks God for being born into a clean family. In this world, Crow doesn't mean birds, it means assassins. He remembers his listeners thought it was just some urban legend, but seeing how serious people are, the man's real. Still, Kanata shrugs it off. Has nothing to do with him, so time for a nap before class. Back in the Xandard Empire, the Emperor himself talks to Crow, bragging that no one would ever expect a living legend to be in his empire. Crow cuts him off, unimpressed, telling him to stop with the speeches and just name the target. The Emperor bristles, asking if he knows who he's talking to. Crow shoots him one glare and the guy nearly soils himself. The mighty Emperor immediately backtracks, saying he'll never question him again. Finally, the Emperor spits it out. The target is the streamer. He says Kanata controls people with his words, even swaying laws and messing with royalty. He complains his businesses are tanking because of Kanata's constant talk about human rights. Crow just listens silently until he's had enough. The Emperor hands over payment, saying he's counting on him, but Crow refuses the money outright. The Emperor scoffs, asking if he's too confident and planning to take everything after the job. Crow tells him no, it's because this is one request he won't take. Before the Emperor can react, Crow beats him down instantly. The so-called ruler is left crumpled, no more orders coming from him. The cook rushes in after hearing the noise, only to find her master gone. Crow slips out without a word. Later, Crow removes the mask. Surprise, it's a she. She grumbles about the work outfit being a pain, but smiles faintly. To think someone asked her to go after Lord Streamer. Idiotic. After all, she's a loyal listener herself. The legendary assassin is down bad, another member of Kanata's growing harem army. She logs into the stream like always, wishing he was near enough to scold her for working at night. Since he isn't, she mutters about what a waste it is. Meanwhile, Kanata streams again, venting. He says he tried to make a friend, but every time he speaks, classmates just tell him to shut up. He asks chat if they can console him a little. His voice wavers, shaky, and the assassin watching feels her heart squeeze. She thinks if she had been the one he talked to, she'd never hurt him. In fact, she just messed with a noble earlier for him. Maria, listening too, fumes at the audacity of those classmates. She thinks they should be thankful to even breathe the same air as his voice. The Demon Queen nods along, saying she's used to wannabe heroes running their mouths too. Alfana quietly admits she'll try harder next time. Kanata sips water dramatically to mimic a crying sound, saying he's hurting, but assures them it's partly a joke. Still, chat blows up, worried for him, so he apologizes for making them anxious. He thanks them for caring. Then a question pops up in chat. How would he deal with those fools? The sender is none other than the assassin herself. Kanata smiles, saying instead of punishment, he'd rather try interacting more. Even if they don't become friends, at least they might talk. The assassin melts, calling him graceful. Still, she adds, if anyone treats him worse, he just has to tell her. Kanata says he will, and that if it happens, he just wants his listeners to console him again. The assassin clenches her fists, vowing that if this is all he asks, she'll gladly ruin anyone for his sake. Kanata scrolls through chat, smiling, and says his listeners are too good. He's got a fan base that doubles as a global hit squad. With one word from him, the Demon Lord would clap his classmates, and with another, an assassin would erase his haters, all because he's good at talking. At a fancy hotel in the royal capital, a red-haired beauty wraps up her shift. Her boss praises her, calls her their top seller, and even brags he switched her seating to maximize tips. She thanks him, then asks if the customers were happy. Of course they were. She's the facility's MVP, the kind of girl other workers gossip about. Before shutting the door, she politely tells her boss she needs alone time. He jokes that if he didn't have work, he'd stay to hear his voice too. She smirks, wishing him better luck next time, then locks herself in. Now alone, she gets ready. Deep red hair, snow-pale skin, sharp blue eyes, aging like fine wine. She admires her reflection, saying the day was satisfying, but really, she's just stalling for what's next. When the phone lights up, her mood flips. It's almost time for the stream. She hurries, giddy like a fangirl. Kanata goes live, apologizing for making them wait. She responds instantly, "You did." Another believer added to his accidental harem. Princess? Check. Demon Queen? Check. Saintess? Assassin? Also check. And now, a humble girl too. Man has more range than Spotify Premium. She listens closely, heart racing. If only he were by her side, she'd give him her love on the spot. This is Kana. She was born dirt poor, clawed her way into the business world, and now tops the hotel game. But behind the success, she remembers the slums. She remembers friends whispering fears about aging out, about being thrown back to the gutter once they're too old. She remembers her failed marriage. The groom bolted the second he found out about her past. In this society, women like her weren't people. They were rotten food. Her boss once told her not to dwell on it. Easier said than done. But tonight, she has her safe place, Kanata's stream. Girls are out here giggling about how funny he is, while guys are still coping in his chat, saying no girl likes him. Yeah, keep coping. Kanata opens a letter. At first it's normal, someone calls him a clean guy, then it swerves. The sender says yesterday he saw a bad woman, calls her trash, and wishes women like her would stop dirtying the city. Kana and her friends freeze. No matter how hard they try, people only see the label. Their boss tells them to ignore it, but Kanata doesn't. He snaps. On stream, his voice hardens. He demands to know who the sender thinks he is, judging people like that. He asks what crime those women committed, what gives anyone the right to spit on them. He says plenty of people don't choose this job, but even if they did, they're brave for surviving. Any work that keeps someone alive is worthy of respect. His words hit like a sermon, slapping judgmental nobles straight across the face. Chat explodes in love. Kanata doubles down, saying he wants a world where no one has to hide their job, where they can stand proud just for surviving. Kana bursts into tears. No one has ever defended them like this. That one stream shifts the entire kingdom's mood. Society itself softens toward women like her. For the first time, Kana feels seen. She whispers thanks to him, vowing she'll repay him someday. Kanata tries to lighten the mood, admitting he attempted to make friends offline. The moment he spoke, they told him to shut up. Rough. Kana bristles when her boss barges in, mutters something about that demon streamer. She instantly flips, furious. How dare he call her savior a demon? Across the kingdom, other believers feel the same. The tiniest insult to Kanata now sparks endless arguments about who dared hurt him. 1 week later, Kanata's stomach wins. He heads out for bread, the cheap kind he always eats. While waiting in line, a voice calls out, "Kanata?" He turns. Princess Maria stands there, acting like it's casual. He panics. If anyone sees him with her, he's finished socially. She waves it off, saying her butlers are probably panicking, but she'll live. Then, bold as ever, she asks him to walk with her. Kanata tries to decline, but she drags him anyway, saying she heard something. They round a corner and spot a scene. A noble from Xandard clutching a struggling girl, spitting out some entitled love nonsense. The girl begs to be released, but he doesn't care. Maria sighs, asking Kanata if they can deal with this. He agrees. Together, they unleash their powers and flatten the guy. Because at the end of the day, if you're a noble harassing women, you don't just get rejected, you get smoked by a princess and the streamer with the most dangerous fan base in the world. Kanata and Maria step forward, telling the noble to move away from the girl. It's painfully obvious she doesn't want him near her, but he still puffs his chest out and asks who they even are. Then he doubles down with the classic creep move, saying they shouldn't get in his way. The guy actually charges at Maria, calling her a good girl like he's auditioning for Most Punchable Face of the Year. He raises his hand, threatening to beat her, but Kanata instantly smothers him with magical pressure. The noble freezes, clueless about what's happening, and stammers out what this crushing weight even is. Kanata, calm as ever, tells him the pressure will wear off in a few minutes, so he better stay still and rethink his life choices. Maria claps back with a sweet compliment, praising Kanata to keep up the good work. The noble twitches, tries to run, but Kanata just tilts his head and asks where he thinks he's going. That's when the noble starts pulling the class card, ranting that you can't treat a noble like this. Doesn't Kanata know what happens to a commoner afterward? Kanata just smirks and replies that he doesn't know, doesn't care, and calls it what it is, self-defense. Bro really thought the "I'm rich" defense would work. The rescued girl bows her head, apologizing to Kanata for dragging him into trouble just because he stepped up to save her. Kanata can't help but think she's stunning, beauty on a level where he wonders why guys won't just leave her alone. She confirms she's fine and explains that Creep was trying to force her into accepting him. The noble, still salty, croaks out that they don't even know what kind of woman she is, calling her bad while claiming she stays with him because he likes her. It's the Delusion Olympics, and he's going for gold. The girl shoots back, demanding to know who the real wrong one is. Kanata steps closer, grinning, and lays it out. There's nothing to debate. He asks which side the noble is even on, questions why he discriminates against people just for their category, then slams the truth in his face. The real criminal is the guy trying to shove love down a woman's throat when she clearly said no. Kana, listening, is left reeling at Kanata's words. Just as the tension peaks, a sound rumbles nearby. Spectators start gathering, pointing and murmuring, saying a man is here. The noble looks around, his bravado crumbling, and mutters that it's over. The crowd gathers, buzzing with curiosity, and the noble instantly flips the script like a coward. He points at Kanata and yells that this commoner attacked him, promising a reward to anyone who grabs him. Man really thinks he can buy loyalty with pocket change in front of a princess. Maria casually steps forward and drops the hammer. She tells the crowd she's the one who called them here, because she wanted everyone to witness a brave man standing up to a noble abusing a girl. Guards move in and pin the noble, who's still sputtering, demanding why royal guards are cuffing him instead of Kanata. Maria rolls her eyes and calls him an idiot. Then she pulls the ultimate flex. She reveals her status as the third princess. Everyone gasps, and the noble's jaw drops. Bro just realized he tried to fight cheat codes with a tutorial character. When the dust settles, Maria thanks Kanata for helping her stage the arrest, but Kanata brushes it off, saying he barely did anything. He mutters that the worst awaiting the guy is deportation to the Empire. Honestly, that's too light for someone who thought forced romance was a personality trait. A guard steps up, requesting Maria to discuss new security measures. She nods and walks off, leaving Kanata thinking this whole ordeal ended safely. Though if one of her guards really turns out to be an assassin, that's going to be a nightmare side quest. Then the rescued girl approaches Kanata. She holds his hand, thanking him for saving her and validating her work. Kanata awkwardly tells her it's nothing and asks her to let go, but she ignores that and inspects his hands like they're rare artifacts. She asks his name. He says it's Kanata. She nods, locking it in memory, and introduces herself as Kana. With a smile, she tells him to call her by name and slips him a card. "Show this at the front desk," she says, and they'll escort him to her. Then she leans in and whispers in his ear, "If he ever wants to relax, she'll do it for free." Kanata freezes. Bro just unlocked premium membership without even paying. Kana leaves to return to work, and when Kanata turns, Maria is already there, watching. He panics, wishing her good night and saying he should return to the dorms. Maria tilts her head and asks why he doesn't just offer to walk her home, since technically they're heading in the same direction. Kanata mutters that if anyone sees them together, it'll ruin his school life. Maria shrugs and says someone might have already spotted them anyway, so he should relax. Easy for her to say, she's royalty. Meanwhile, the noble is being dragged off by guards. They inform him he'll be deported tomorrow and suggest he use the time to reflect. Instead, he seethes, blaming Kanata for humiliating him. He mutters that the commoner ruined everything, but now at least he knows his name, Kanata. And to him, that's all he needs. Elsewhere, Maria sighs, admitting the old man will scold her for sneaking out without permission. Kanata raises an eyebrow and asks if she didn't tell anyone where she was going. And just like that, his night shifts from saving strangers to babysitting royalty with no sense of accountability. Someone in chat asks the streamer what he thinks about the power of his words. Kanata shrugs it off, saying he's just talking like always. But then he jokes, "If I said I wanted to take over the world, what would you all do?" That's when the comments go feral. Followers spam that they'd help him rule. Some even say they'd dedicate their lives to him and hand over the whole world. Alfana jumps in, saying she'll take care of anyone, as long as he wishes it. Maria, not to be outdone, swears she'd reset the world back to zero just to crown him as its ruler. Then the Demon Queen casually drops that she'd let him govern the countries she's already conquered. Bro made a half joke and suddenly he's got half the planet ready to kneel. This man can't even make a world domination meme without starting an actual cult rally. Kanata panics, telling them to chill, clarifying that he was just kidding. But inside, he remembers how streamers in his old world could cause chaos with one dumb joke. If he's not careful, he's going to speedrun biggest menace of the century. He changes topics quick, telling chat he wants to do more than talk. He's planning reports, maybe even live showcases. With his camera, he can't show his face, but maybe he can show action through his hands. He's basically inventing hand cam streaming in another world. Suddenly, a message pops up. A nameless princess straight up confesses her love. Kanata panics again, laughs it off, and replies that he loves her too, and all the others watching. The chat explodes, fans screaming like he just announced a marriage proposal. Kanata sits back, realizing, yep, that was a mistake. If his hands alone almost caused a national emergency, I love you is basically dropping a nuke. The next morning, he's dragging his feet, barely awake. Meanwhile, students gossip and spread rumors, saying the mysterious SS class student might actually be the streamer. One girl says she heard he was going to reveal a secret. Another calls Cap, pointing out the streamer says he's a commoner and Aguila's a noble with power. Kanata listens and seethes. He's stuck hearing classmates debate if he is fake, while he can't say a word. He swears he'll expose the imposters in stream later. Aguila walks in like he owns the place, claiming he is the streamer. He yells that nobody believes him, but he's the real deal. Kanata just sits back smirking, thinking the problem solved itself. In his old world, imposters would get cancelled on Twitter. Here, Aguila's just speedrunning clown of the academy. After school, Aguila is still screaming for clout, ranting that nobles like him should be believed over some faceless commoner. Kanata tails him, hearing the full cope. Turns out Aguila's family isn't even that popular, so he wants streamer fame to prop himself up. His plan? Snag a few gullible listeners, get their money, and live off Kanata's name. Kanata just thinks, this guy's a fool. He doesn't even realize being the streamer means having literal psychos, assassins, and demon queens simping for you. Trying to steal that role is like asking for a death sentence. That's when Alfana suddenly whispers in Kanata's ear, calling Aguila a truly foolish man. He nearly jumps. She and Maria are right behind him. Both calmly say that if someone is dumb enough, they can't be saved. Kanata asks when they got there, but they brush him off, apologizing because they had plans with Aguila too. Translation: he's already on their chopping block. Then Alfana turns, tells Kanata she's a fan of Lord Streamer. She says that even at church, just a few seconds of his voice soothes her soul. She even asks Maria if she feels the same. Maria blushes and says Alfana didn't have to expose that much. Meanwhile, Aguila snaps, raging that everyone is obsessed with this faceless guy. He admits he's been stalking the streamer's actions out of pure jealousy. Maria unsheathes her sword, saying it's good she brought it today. Alfana agrees, calmly adding that his sins keep stacking higher. Kanata stands there quietly, realizing he's basically got the princess and the saintess as his ride-or-die fans, two of the highest-ranked girls in the kingdom, openly simping for him, while Aguila melts down. Maria says she doesn't care if people try to copy Kanata, but if they dare insult or impersonate him, she cannot forgive it. Kanata looks at her, thinking she's way too kind to him. Alfana then presses Kanata for his opinion. He clears his throat and says if Aguila reflects and stops lying, that's good enough, because even a real streamer wouldn't want to see someone punished that harshly. Kanata goes looking for Aguila, but the guy's vanished. He asks where he went, and even Maria shrugs, saying she can't tell because he just disappeared. Then Alfana frowns, muttering that she felt an evil power nearby. And right on cue, an evil presence slithers out of nowhere. A monster girl appears, glaring at Aguila and asking if it's true he's the streamer. Aguila freezes. Her aura alone makes him feel like he's carrying weights. The Dragon Queen descends from her chair, her voice cold, and the monster girl reports that Aguila's mana is laughably low. No way could this clown send signals across the world. The queen already knows, but she's furious anyway. How dare this fraud steal the name of the one she loves? She tells Aguila that if he used that title, then he better be ready to pay the price. Bro wanted clout, and instead got summoned to his own execution. Meanwhile, Maria and Kanata are still searching when Alfana suddenly stops, sensing the demonic trail. Maria guesses if demons were involved, they probably dragged Aguila away to confirm if the rumor was true. Before Kanata can comment, a massive black hole tears open nearby. Instinct kicks in. He grabs both girls, pulling them to safety, muttering that protecting them comes first. Then he smells it. Aguila's stink is all over this place. Sure enough, a demon appears, carrying him like a wet rag. The demon greets them calmly, saying his boss was furious about Aguila's stunt, but is done being angry, so they're returning him. Maria and Alfana tense up, ready to fight. But the demon waves it off, apologizing for barging in. He laughs, saying there are plenty of demon listeners, not just him, but a whole fan club. And their boss? The demon lord herself. Apparently, she never misses a stream. Kanata's poker face is barely holding. Bro thought his viewers were just some lonely nobles and nun trainees, but nope, the literal demon lord is in chat with notifications on. At this point, if he sneezes on mic, the entire underworld is probably clipping it. Kanata asks if he's joking, but the demon doubles down, bragging that even the demon lord fell to the streamer's voice. He even says Maria and Alfana smell like their boss, and honestly, he'd believe either of them as the streamer before Aguila. Kanata just nods, praying his blank expression looks convincing. Maria whispers that maybe the demon really does think the streamer's power is abnormal. She's not wrong, dude's basically pulling nations into his Twitch sublist. Alfana finally steps in, saying they should end this talk. She reminds the demon that Maria is a royal official, so punishment beyond this isn't possible. The demon chuckles, calls Alfana kind, and then disappears, leaving the three in silence. Kanata slumps down, completely drained. Alfana sits beside him, telling him to rest, too. When she leans close, his heart nearly stops. She grabs his hand, thanking him for protecting her earlier, saying it made her happy. Kanata fumbles, wanting to say any man would protect a woman, but he can't even meet her eyes. Alfana smiles softly and calls him wonderful. Kanata coughs, quickly changing topics, saying they should just dump Aguila and move on. He hauls Aguila up, only for the guy to scream in terror and sprint off, crying for the streamer to save him. Irony at its finest. After that, Aguila completely cracks. He confesses to all his lies and even airs out his family's dirty laundry. He swears he wants to rebuild his house into something worthy of being the streamer's fan base. Bro went from wannabe clout thief to public simp in record time. Days later, Kanata is still replaying the demon's words. If what they said is true, then even the demon queen is tuning into his streams. Man didn't just build an audience, he accidentally built an interspecies UN. And just as he's processing this, a mysterious girl with no backstory walks up, asking if he can guide her around town. Kanata stares at her, thinking maybe she's just new here, or maybe fate's about to throw another yandere into his already stacked chat room. Everyone on the street stops and stares at the girl walking up to Kanata. She's tall, gorgeous, and moving with the kind of presence that makes bystanders whisper about how beautiful she is. The girl looks around and says, "This must be the capital," clearly intrigued. Kanata steps in to guide her, asking if it's her first time here. She admits it is, though she stumbles over her words and corrects herself, saying it's her first time visiting this town. Kanata watches her carefully, wondering if she's the quiet, sheltered type, the kind of beauty who doesn't quite fit her surroundings. She apologizes for bothering him and making him waste his time guiding her, but Kanata brushes it off. Walking around town with a pretty girl? That's not a waste at all. The girl pauses, almost surprised he called her pretty, and thinks it over as they continue side by side. Kanata decides to take her somewhere special and leads her to a hidden balcony with a sweeping view. She gazes out, admitting she's been trying to ruin scenery this beautiful. Bro, who even says that on a first tour? Kanata starts thinking she's either quirky or a whole red flag in disguise. Kanata studies her, sensing something strange in her atmosphere, and finally asks if she isn't human. The girl smiles. She's impressed. Most people fall for the disguise, but not him. She admits she used items from her subordinates to hide her true nature, but somehow he saw through it, and she finds that thrilling. Kanata stares blankly, asking again if she's really not human. She confirms it, laughing that he caught her. Then she adds that with no humans nearby, no magical interference, and a hidden spot like this, it's perfect for her to reveal the truth. Her aura flares, familiar to Kanata from the demon he met before, and she formally introduces herself, Shruza, the demon queen. Kanata stays calm, even as she seals them off from the outer world, so only he can see her. He acts unimpressed, muttering that magic is deeper than he thought, and he probably should have studied more before coming to school. Imagine chilling this hard while meeting the literal final boss. Shruza asks what he thinks of demons, and Kanata answers honestly. To him, demons and humans are the same. Both have a history of messing with each other, and it would be better if they just learned to get along. If someone dies in the fighting, then yes, demons are blamed, but they grieve too. Shruza stares into his eyes, telling him he has more power than she imagined, even greater than her own, and she can't even see its limit. Kanata shrugs, pointing out another demon said the same thing. Man's poker face is unshakable. She accepts it with a smile, then takes his hand. She says both humans and demons should walk hand in hand, and asks if he agrees. Kanata nods, admitting the path will be tough, but still worth trying. Her hands are cold, yet she feels no different from anyone else. When he mentions that he knows someone who says the same thing about peace between humans and demons, Shruza suddenly steps back, flustered. She admits she's a big fan of the streamer, and that his very words inspired her to change. He's thinking he just speed ran bagging the most dangerous fangirl alive. Kanata plays dumb, asking if the streamer is famous even in the demon realm. Shruza says yes, though some elders dislike him, but she's already dealing with them. Kanata is secretly relieved, but also realizes she just revealed something he probably shouldn't know. He asks what the demon world is like, comparing it to overseas countries, and Shruza tells him he should visit. If he comes with her, she says, he won't have trouble entering. She even welcomes him personally. Kanata sweats at how close she gets, but mutters that maybe, if they have time, he'll visit someday. They part with a promise to meet again. Kanata waves goodbye, still unaware of her true name's weight. He just spent the afternoon casually hanging out with the demon lord herself. Back at his dorm, Kanata starts a short stream. He tells everyone it's early, but they should get some sleep, admitting he's tired after playing tour guide. He says goodnight, ends the stream, and drifts off. But while he sleeps, the shadows stir. The assassin slips silently into his room exactly as it was always meant to happen. A few days ago, Crow gets called in for another mission. She asks who the target is this time, and the man lifts his veil with a smug grin. Turns out it is the same noble clown Kanata and Maria embarrassed earlier, the one who tried flexing on Kana and got deported for it. Bro came back salty and is now hiring assassins like a kid rage-quitting and unplugging the console. He slams down a folder and demands Crow drag the streamer in. Crow flips through the details and says it looks like an easy job. The noble swears he will never forgive the streamer for making him look like a fool, while Crow just shrugs and says the guy had bad luck. Out in the city, Crow blends into the streets, noting it has been a while since she walked here as herself. She starts gathering info and quickly spots the target's habits. In the span of 1 hour, she sees Kanata buy way too much bread like he is secretly running a bakery, help out a nun like he is auditioning for sainthood, and even assist a student on the street. For an assassin, that is irritating. Her mark is supposed to be a villain, not a community service all-star. Meanwhile, the noble is still harassing women because apparently he never learns, and Crow has to step in before she pukes. She thinks about how pathetic it is that this so-called assassin job is about a guy whose words give people a reason to live. From across the screen, Kanata gives even her, someone who hides in shadows for coin, something like hope. That night, Kanata goes live, asking his usual check-in if everyone is doing all right. Crow, sitting in the dark, realizes she is just a girl his age who happened to stumble across his voice, but somehow that coincidence turned into obsession. He hides behind a streamer persona, and she hides behind the title of Crow, and in her twisted logic, that makes them kindred spirits. On stream, Kanata asks for any fun job requests, joking around. Crow, against her better judgment, sends a message saying she has heard of people who live through mess and wonders if he knows about them. He casually admits he does. That shocks her. She is not used to someone seeing through the disguise so easily. He even says assassins are scary but also kind of cool since they sneak through the dark and strike down their targets like characters in the games he used to play. He laughs, calling it interesting work, even if it is crime. Crow listens, heart pounding, thinking she loves this man. Finally, she reaches the target's house. The window is wide open, which makes her roll her eyes. Too careless. She slips inside, whispering apologies to Kanata in her head, promising he can hate her for as long as he wants once the job is done. But as she prepares, she hears his voice again. The stream is still running. Then it clicks. Kanata and the streamer are the same person. She freezes, hiding in the shadows, not daring to breathe. Kanata closes the window to avoid anyone peeking in, completely unaware that an assassin is crouched a few feet away. Crow, watching him start the stream, feels like she is witnessing the world's first live in-person broadcast, and her chest tightens. She has dodged countless blades, but nothing feels as dangerous as hearing his voice in the same room. She swears not to blink even if her eyes burn, afraid to miss a single second. Across town, the noble who hired her is bragging about how Crow must be making Kanata cry by now. In reality, Crow is doing the opposite, silently simping in the corner like she just discovered religion. She ends up staying through the night, watching him until exhaustion wins. The next morning, Kanata wakes when water drips onto his face. He gets up to check and stumbles upon Crow standing in his bathroom. He shouts, asking who she is and why she is there. But instead of panic, Crow smiles softly, happier at being seen than worried about failing. She introduces herself as a normal, unsuspicious person, claiming it is a pleasure to meet him, Lord Streamer. Kanata stares like she just tried to sell him a scam pyramid scheme and asks if she really expects him to buy that. From that moment on, his streaming life takes a turn for chaos, but Kanata has no idea yet just how messy it is about to get. Crow bows in front of Kanata, begging him for mercy, as if he were Kami-sama. He is at a loss for what to do about the murderous simp in front of him. She already knows his identity and everything. He asks her who she really is, and like a puppy dog, she immediately reveals that her real name is Mira, but everyone calls her Crow. Kanata wonders if this is because she simps for Itachi Uchiha as well. He then looks at her katana and her plague mask and realizes that she must be the legendary assassin, and she excitedly asks, "That's great." He can't believe it, and wonders why the legendary assassin is here in his room, looking at him sleep like a freak. She looks at him sadly and once again apologizes, saying that she is a fan of his amazing work. Kanata looks away, realizing that they are in a full loop and at the same answer. He scratches his head and says that this didn't happen in his last life, so he's not sure what to do. Crow notices his hesitation and wonders if he's not glad to see her or is troubled. Without missing a beat, Kanata replies that he is troubled. She innocently wonders if she is the cause, and he replies that she indeed is. Without any hesitation, she brings out her katana, telling her lordship that she'll see him in the afterlife. She is about to slice her head off, promising to die for her sins. Kanata tells her to stop with this budget-cut replay of the Bible. She freezes for a moment and slowly takes away her blade, and a thin stream of blood trickles from her throat. Kanata can't believe that she was actually going to die for him and wonders what in the world is wrong with her. What he doesn't know is that he has 3 other murderous beauties ready to step from a cliff if he orders it. She says it's because she troubled him, and Kanata grabs his chest, barely able to contain his feelings. Crow sorrowfully says that she has no value as a human being, and if he thinks of her as a nuisance, she'll end her life immediately. Kanata realizes that he can't deal with this anymore. She's the type who would actually die for him if he told her to, and she's gone way past a yandere. She's a super yandere at this point, so he will have to cry if she does anything she will regret later. Kanata's head is pounding, and he tries to come up with a solution and wrap his head around the situation. He can't even think straight, and she wonders if he's all right. Secretly, he thinks that this is all her fault, but he won't say that out loud. That's just too cruel. He orders her not to unalive herself for now. If she cuts her head off, there will be blood, and it will be hard to clean up. Like an obedient little puppy, she wonders if she should do it somewhere else so it won't bother him. He just can't believe what a nice little girl she is and says that's not the problem and wonders what in the world is wrong with her. He calls her by her name, and she reminds him that he's the only one who knows her real name. Kanata is surprised and wonders if this means that he will have to die now, since he knows her secret, but she immediately springs into action, asking who dares to try to get rid of him. She'll turn that person into minced meat. Kanata realizes that this is not working out, and he still can't believe that she's the crow and wants her to prove it. She gets the idea and immediately uses her concealment jutsu to vanish into thin air. Kanata looks around and realizes that she is really gone. He can't even feel her magic or her presence. He walks around blindly trying to grab the air, and while fondling around, he accidentally grabs something really soft. She appears out of thin air, and it turns out he has his hands on her godly rack. He immediately withdraws his hands and is ready to be chopped up into 2 ribbons, but it turns out she's fine with it. She smiles, saying that being touched by the streamer is the biggest gift of all. Seriously, don't let this girl into Hollywood. Kanata looks at her in embarrassment, awkwardness, and exhaustion. The deadliest combo. He once again answers that it's all right, and why is she in his room again? She finally spills the beans, and he realizes that he can get killed for just deporting a sorry trash bag of a human. But does this mean that she won't kill him anymore? She enthusiastically yells that she would never dream of killing him, and he shouldn't worry. She would actually protect him rather than harm him. She smiles, saying that the one who continually puts the request will need a new change of pants when she is done with him. After unlocking his own personal stalker, he goes to school with a crow peeping at him through the window. Bro really unlocked the full streamer package. A stalker, a couple of haters, and a few die-hard fans that can level the world if he commands. Crow realizes her mission is not to kill him anymore. She later visits that noble, and the noble cries out loud before lying in a pool of mysterious liquid while the crow carelessly sips tea. Later, Kanata resumes his stream, and Crow enjoys the view from her VIP seat on his ceiling. She sums it up, and he says that she shouldn't kill people without a reason anymore. Though it's useful that she's a bodyguard now, leaving her next to him is a bit scary. The terminal starts lighting up, and he looks at the new letters arriving. He decides to use this as a chance to calm down, but his eyes glaze over, and Crow wonders what's the matter with him. The message reads out that he's a mass murderer, and Kanata wonders what in the class action lawsuit is happening here. The message reads that they didn't think that he would go to such lengths to become a famous streamer, and they won't forgive his sins. The mysterious sender says that to cast his voice over such a large area, he must need a large amount of mana. So no matter how much he saves, he would be dead if he did it alone. Crow really doesn't know that Kanata is a living nuclear generator. The mysterious sender says that he needs a large number of people to farm mana, and how many lives has he taken? How much suffering will he cause to reach his end goal? And they will never forgive him. May God smite him. Kanata can't believe what this loser is talking about. And will the rumor really spread about him even though he is making an honest living using his own mana for his streams? While he's in an existential crisis, Crow is busy sniffing his sheets like any normal human. He can't believe what is happening, and Crow asks him what's wrong. It's true that in his past life, such slanders usually end up with celebrities ending their careers. Just take Johnny Depp as an example, and he didn't think that would happen to him. He freezes for a moment and recalls Crow sniffing around his sheets like a true freak. He wonders what she was doing, and she tries to turn away and ignore him. The streamer is now a really big name, a brand bigger than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. In this world called Atrixia, there are a lot of people who are charmed by his values and beliefs. He has turned a whole army of Yandere listeners into his harem through the unique culture of streaming that he's brought from home. He's giving others a dangerous idea to walk in his footsteps. In a distant kingdom, the slaves have been released. Thanks to him, a ceasefire is on the way with the demons, and the destruction of a banded guild has happened, and those who are busy trying to make a living for themselves have better treatment. The power to move countries with a single word is envied by many, and some of them are trying to perform streams as well. In a small country, rather close to Rogia, a trashy noble household is trying to use slaves as mana batteries to power his stream. He yells at the slaves, calling them worthless, and the slaves try to ask for this trash bag's forgiveness. Budget card Draco Malfoy sits on his throne, wondering why the ungrateful insects are trying to talk to him. His butler arrives, saying that he already knows mana is as valuable as blood. He cautions him that if he drains them dry, then they will die, and new slaves will have to be bought, but expenses are out of reach. Since slaves are in short supply, the princess has stopped slavery. This is the large batch they have. Draco Malfoy from Walmart says that he gets slaves at the bottom of the barrel and he'll have to use what he can. He curses the kingdom's princess for her new laws. Now it's hard to get new stock in this country. Seriously, bro should be shipped off as a slave at this point. He tells the slaves to rest in their cells so that their mana can be regenerated. He then turns to his butler, saying that they have managed to capture an SS rank adventure and asks how it is going. The butler says that they are putting him in a healing tank, and he has enough mana to power a 5-minute stream. This infuriates James Bond from China. He can't believe that he can only afford 5 minutes of stream time when the streamer can go for a whole night. He wonders how much mana does the bastard has, but he freezes for a moment. He can't believe that a single person has enough mana to go on for a whole night. What bro doesn't know that if Kanata wants, he can power the stream for his entire life. But this comeback just says that he's a stealer and a murderer who takes lives for his own pleasure, and that's how he started the rumor about the streamer being a murderer. He also tells his subordinates to turn into internet trolls and report him. They have the truth because they are numerous. They will uncover the streamer's sin and drag him down to hell. He asks them for mana for 5 minutes, and he will end his whole career. Presently, Kanata is not sure what he should do. He calls the other guy an idiot, and Crow wonders if they should let him be or seek vengeance. But he says that he just wants to see how it turns out. She angrily yells that she wants to throw hands. She doesn't want him to be misunderstood in this world. Kanata silently wonders when she's going back home. She's walking around the apartment like she owns it. All of a sudden, she puts on a pair of glasses, saying that she will take care of this new threat. He reminds her that they won't kill for views, and he also wonders where she gets those glasses from. Is she trying to cosplay or something? She says that maybe they can just sell some of their organs as a lesson, but he tells her that that is off the table. And here he thought that all of his fans were gentle people, but in reality, they are weirdos. He decides to go for a walk to cool his head down, and she offers to accompany him. He caves in, saying that she just needs to make sure no one sees them, and for a master assassin, that is not a problem. She even asks him what he thinks of her, and he replies that she's a stalker. This causes her to pout cutely. Later, Kanata whispers that it feels nice to be out in the air. Here, his cell phone buzzes, and it's a message telling them that everyone is a fool for mindlessly enjoying the streamer's murder spree, and they must already know that the streamer is an evil douchebag, and within these 5 minutes, they will be informed of the truth. His audience is split on how they should view the streamer from now on. Does he kill so many people? And does he farm mana from the commoners? The princess, the saintess, and the demon lord, everyone is furious and can't believe how dare they try to slander against their hero. The princess breaks her phone apart, and the saintess stabs her phone with a cross as if it will expel the evil from within. The demon lord, on the other hand, is ready to create a crater in his honor. Kanata turns to Grow, and she smiles, wondering what it is. If Lord Streamer wasn't next to her, then she might have ended up destroying everything within a 5-meter radius. He tells her that he just needs a little favor and asks if she will hear him out, and she replies to him 1,000 times over. Rikpa, the foolish noble, has stepped on the tail of a sleeping tiger. Later at school, Kanata is exhausted. Today's lesson is about to start, but he is just sitting all alone on the benches. He hears some of the girls whisper about his stream yesterday, wondering if it's true that he kills people. Some try to disoffend him, saying that he can't. But it's also not possible to have such mana on their own. What everyone doesn't know is that Katana is a walking cheat code. He's a glitch in the system, but there were a lot of people asking how his stream works, and he just used to plead the fifth. Looks like he can't do that anymore, and he'll have to face his audience. The infinite magic energy he's been granted after reincarnation is one of a kind ability in this world. He can cast high-level magic and even spam those curses without worrying about mana. And he is immune to any tentacle monster trying to have some fun with him or trying to suck his mana out. And he can even turn his finger into a nuke, surpassing everyone by a milestone. He's the first of his kind, a new species of human, and no one will believe him, so it's best if he keeps this power to himself. As long as he can do his streams, he's good. He looks at the sky, wondering what he should do. He's in the middle of a conspiracy storm, and he hopes it doesn't blow up. Crow appears out of thin air next to him, apologizing for making him wait. She looks at him and wonders if everything's all right. Ironically, it's her sudden appearance that has driven him to a heart attack. She hands him a couple of notes, saying that she did her best to gather information. She smiles, saying that she had to use a bit of force, but if it's an order he made, then she would be willing to do anything. It's scary how innocently she can say that she tortured someone for information. He thanks her, and the compliment is enough to turn her into a bubbling mess, wondering how an assassin can be thanked, and by none other than Lord Streamer. He looks at her, wondering if she fell asleep. It turns out it's a small country pretty far from here, and a noble from the Sentry Palace is spreading those rumors. As a result, a group of envious streamers has formed, and their appearance is now a full organization. He wonders if it's worse than blowing up. He looks at Crow snoring soundly. He should have expected this of Crow. She has gathered such detailed information. She gets up and wipes her eyes, saying that she can go out to gather more. She vanishes. He looks at the shears, wondering if he should hone in on the truth. He then turns to Crow for a favor. He wants her to look into the stream using her network information, and he can also permit her to trespass. She excitedly yells that that's up her alley and she'll do it. Later, he reads the details about the rumors. Streamers gain trust with former slaves and support them, but in truth, they take all of their magical energy. He slams the copy away, saying that that's a creative one and there's a possibility that those supporting him will be brainwashed. He walks away, wondering if his career as the new Isekai'd is over. And is there any way to stop these nasty rumors? He is about to collapse, wondering if anyone will listen to him now. What he doesn't know is that Kana is ready to swing an axe at whoever is spreading these rumors. Her girlies have to hold her down, and the Demon Lord is in such a foul mood that she is smashing everything around her, and the other demons wonder why she is destroying her own castle. Kanata walks around lonely. He wonders if this is what Slender feels like, and it's not like he has any wounds on him, though words sting worse than swords, and if he leaves it alone, maybe it will come back to bite him. He wonders what the easy way is to resolve this. He looks at his hand, and an idea formulates in his mind. He can show his hands off during the stream, and if he uses it, then he can mimic the school exam, and it might change everything. The ball they had to touch during the exam can classify the amount of mana they have. If the mana is immeasurable, then the orb will show it. So he needs one of those orbs, but if he tries to use it and lets his listeners see, then it will be proven that he's streaming with his own power, but it looks expensive. As a broke boy, he's not sure he can get his hands on one. The princess and the saintess arrive looking at him like a pair of Yanderes. They want to console him, for he must be thinking of the lying scumbag. They wonder if he wants to rid the world of such scumbags. They arrive next to Kanata, and he looks at Maria and Alfana, wondering what's up. He tries to regain his composure, because if he's not careful, he will reveal himself. What he doesn't know is that the baddie duo already knows that he's the streamer. Maria stutters, saying that she wants to ask something, and he doesn't have to finish that sentence for her. He's the person who would help anyone in need, a person they can trust. So in his hour of need, they will definitely lend a helping hand. So he should share his burden with them. He just needs to know that they are born with power and influence. Alfana also whispers that they will use everything they have to help him, so he just needs to rely on them. Kanata looks at the sky, wondering if he can really trust them. He finally blurts out that he has a favor to ask them. He finally reveals that he is the streamer. The girls look at him in shock, and Kanata stands there waiting for their judgment. If they had been told of this all of a sudden, it's bound that they would be speechless, and no matter how close he is with the two, his confession must be too sudden. He grabs his arm, wondering if they will leave him too, but Alfana apologizes, saying that she already knows that he is the streamer. This is so shocking that Kanata collapses on his knees. He wonders, since when did she know? She says since the first day they met. He had a small wound on his hand, and after that, he showed his hands on the stream, so that's when she pieced the puzzle together. Maria can't believe what she is hearing. Her eyes are wide in surprise that he is the Lord Streamer. Her eyes start spinning, and dizziness overcomes her, but she tries to play it cool, as her intuition is well. She tries to boast that she also knew it from the start. She tries to reason that his accent was what gave him away. It was surprisingly easy. Kanata looks at them, wondering if they really knew that he was the streamer, and they did a good job not letting anyone else know. They bask in bliss after that compliment, and Alfana grabs his hands carefully, saying that if they know the truth, then they're fans. and they would never do anything to cause him trouble. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called themselves true fans. A strange darkness flashes across her face, and Maria says that she is right. They will keep the secret, and they want him to let them hear his voice. She is looking forward to listening to his words, which are usually fearless and full of attitude. He calls out to the princess and the saintess, and they both yell at him not to be so formal and call them by their first names. They enthusiastically shake his hand and tell him not to call them by their titles. He finally accepts it, and they reveal that they will help him out in any way possible. They are the most influential people in this kingdom after all. If he wants anything done, he just needs to say it. Kanata is grateful to the baddies. Even if they knew his identity, they didn't reveal it or leak it, and they kept his secret safe, and that deserves a reward. They're trustworthy, and they feel weirdly different from usual. They're almost scary. Maybe he's imagining things, and even if they're so close to him and staring at him, he shouldn't stare back. He nervously walks away, saying that if someone sees them being so close, it will be bad for their reputation. And what if anyone hears them? But it turns out there is not a single soul around. Alphana reveals that she had cast a spell to ward off others from walking in on their conversation. From how he looks at it, he didn't want anyone else to hear them. He smiles, telling Alphana that she is the best, and Maria just burns with jealousy. She has once again been one-upped by her friend. Kanata tells them that they should start with the plan, and they wonder what he wants to talk about. He explains the rumors regarding the streamers. They both squeeze against each other angrily, saying that they know that those are conspiracies and nothing more. Maria yells that she's been requesting her mother and father to do something about the rumors. Because of a mysterious cooperation, they've already figured out its roots, and the investigation has turned. He wonders if Crow is the mysterious corporation. Everyone is calling him a mass murderer, but they haven't found any cases in that country, and what he does is take more mana than usual, and that's true. Maria says that starting from her parents, each country leader is starting to think that he has more mana than everyone and everything else in the world, and that he is using a device to create mana that's unknown to them in order to stream. He realizes that she has just guessed out his old game. Maria says that she doesn't plan on asking. It's bad to do that as a fan. And Alphana smiles, snuggling up to him, saying that even if he doesn't rely on them, many supporters are already moving to end this whole charade. His name is very big meaning in this world, and he has never-ending support from the common folk, and so many people of his believers will not forgive that action. He finally realizes the influence he has over this world. He doesn't want anyone else to clean up his mess, and he decides to prove his innocence with his own hands. For that, he asks them for their help. He smiles, saying that he trusts both of them, and this is enough to give both of the girls a massive nosebleed, and they both need a shower too. He smiles, saying, "Here's the plan." They immediately get up, postponing that shower and wondering what they can do. He wonders if they remember the one from when they arrived at the school. It seemed to be a valuable item that they forbade anyone from taking it, and they locked it deep in the school, and he wants to resolve his problem. Maria says as a princess, she'll grant them access, and as a priestess, he will be granted access. So, no matter how the situation plays out, they'll take responsibility. But their expression is as if he owes them child support for 10 years. And at last, the streamer and his believers have joined hands together to stop those rumors from spreading. School is already done for today, and they have a bunch of stuff ready for tomorrow. The duo decides to take a break, and Kanata also tells them that he'll stop streaming for today, as he needs to prepare for tonight. He thanks them for agreeing to help, but both of the baddies are distraught that they won't be able to stream today. He smiles, saying that the plan is set. They will start tomorrow at 6, and they should meet up at the usual place. They smile, promising to be there. Later, Maria knocks on Alphana's door, asking if she can come in. She wonders if it is about Lord Kanata. She suddenly grabs her shoulders and starts shaking her as if she owes her money, saying, "Is it really true that he is Lord Streamer?" Alphana can't believe that she didn't piece the puzzle together. She also pushes him off, telling her to stop shaking her like a piñata and to calm down first, but she can't calm down. Her mind is all over the place. It's so over the place that she just jumps out of the window, smashing glass and yelling that her idol is her own classmate. Alphana pleads with her to stop destroying her window. After a quick cleanup spell, Alphana apologizes that she was never sure, but she noticed it. And Maria also says that she noticed it too. His way of speaking was kind of familiar. Alphana tells her buddy to stop murmuring in her mouth. She can simply use her meetings from now on to make Lord Kanata fall for her. She wonders about calling Kanata Lord. After all, Lord Streamer and Lord Kanata are the same person, so maybe she should call him with the title, but she's thinking about what to call him. She smiles because she has the IQ of a broken walnut. She wonders if they're already married and it's okay if she calls him by his name. She's even planning a wedding ceremony and she'll be busy. She turns into an ogre, yelling that she will be Lord Kanata's wife, not Alphana, but Alphana just laughs it off, saying that she looks like she's on cloud 9, but it's better to warn her before she goes crazy and uses her rights as a princess. She looks at Maria still in her daydream and pinches her cheeks furiously, yelling at her that when he's at school, he's Lord Kanata, not Lord Streamer. And she shouldn't forget about it. Her whole vibe screams danger, as she says that if she causes any trouble for their idol, she won't forgive her, even if they're friends. This is enough to snap her out of her little matchmaking dream. She hasn't seen Alphana make this face after she replaced her alarm clock with a bomb, and she beat the stuffing out of her. She apologizes because she wasn't thinking clearly. Alphana says that after all of this is over, they will be the only ones who know of his true identity. So in other words, they will be ahead of other friends, and they will provide him with their support. When she mentions support, Maria has something else in mind, something that will get Lord Kanata cancelled and beaten up by the other guys. Bro accidentally bagged a baddie, a princess, a saintess, and the Demon Lord. But currently, all of the fans are waiting for the stream, and the Demon Lord can't believe it and is on the verge of crying that there is no stream today. She won't be able to Netflix and chill today. Maria realizes that that's right, and Alphana says that they will support him in any way possible. The world doesn't need to find out. This is how things should be. As fans, they know the truth, and as Lord Streamer's fans, it's up to them to protect his identity and how else to describe them as a couple of young rails who are listening to his speech, and now they are more than fans, they are allies to support him together and also friends. As princes and satans, they've helped each other quite a lot, but now they have a united cause. It looks like the dragon and the tiger will be forming an unbeatable team. There is a silent rivalry also going on. Alphana says she is the first one who knows that Lord Kanata is the streamer, and Maria says that she was the first to recognize his talents. The newly formed alliance is on the verge of collapsing. That's how Yanderes plays the game. Alphana wonders if she is really as much of a fan as she is. Then they are the same. So tonight is the night before the revolution, and Lord Kanata will be busy, so there won't be a stream. So maybe they should use the wards to raise morale for tomorrow. There aren't any classes tomorrow, and they should be ready for anything that goes south. Maria smiles, saying that she likes the way she thinks, and Alphana smiles, saying that she knows of a streamer they should troll. It's time to go berserk. All of a sudden, they start performing saucy. They start dancing in honor of Lord Kanata, and they started screaming their love throughout the night, the love for their lord.